This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Clay, good morning, man. You were telling us during the break about a place off Dixon on the square that used to have those delicious waffles and fried chicken back in the day.
Yeah, and you got to have the maple syrup. I mean, Tommy's right about that. I mean, you don't. And, of course, I lathered in butter, then the syrup, and then it was bone-in chicken, and it was hot chicken. I can't remember the name of the place. I think it was a food truck, and then they kind of made a go of it. It's like it was just off Dixon Street, kind of behind George's Majestic on the I guess that would be the east side of the railroad tracks, kind of back in that corner. And it was terrific, but, you know, like anything else.
But it was bone-in chicken.
It was bone-in chicken.
I've never seen bone-in
and
chicken.
You could get, I think you got wings, you know, with a big chunk of white meat on the end of it, and it was so good.
Are you talking about?
There's one that sets up at the Stadium Shop parking lot.
Katie's.
It might be the same place. It might be a truck place now, yeah, but this was 15 years ago. I mean, that's how, you know, I remember stuff that's, you know, Maestries isn't open anymore. They changed locations and didn't work. And, you know, but the Venetian I think still is. Mm-hmm. And their fried chicken is really good. But man, if I'm just going to eat fried chicken, I go to Popeyes.
It's hard to beat, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. But there's some places in Arkansas that you can go, and you know it's fried chicken like Mama used to. Now, AQ's pretty good too. I don't know if we're just talking about waffles and chicken though, right?
It's apparently.
I don't know too many places that have that.
It's apparently Chicken and Waffles Day. Katie K's Chicken has been texted, and also Frickin' Chicken has been texted, but it's probably one of those places, if I had to guess. But yeah, enjoy your fried chicken and waffles today, ladies and gentlemen, because it is National Chicken and Waffles Day.
Yeah, it's Robert, and from the Stadium Shop just called me there. Second ago, I took his call, and that's Keith Kidd's trailer, that KDK's.
Yeah, that's good too, but it's different than what I'm remembering. It wasn't Keith's place.
Yeah,
you know, down off the square, off of Dixon Street.
I know every time I go to the Stadium Shop and they're cooking, I have to fight the temptation
to eat there.
I just ate lunch.
Well, Clay, I want to get your insight. Coach Pittman was talking about not starting the game plan and Auburn too early because they didn't want it to become kind of a lull next week, as he described it. So no scrimmaging, the walkthroughs, kind of take our audience behind the scenes and what that kind of looks like.
Well, first of all, they have the game plan ready. The coaches are on top of that, and you know they've got analysts and you know GAs that do all the scout. Of course, it's all computerized, so they've got it. They've got all the tendencies and everything measured for Auburn. So they will, but you just do a game week, and there's no use doing it twice. And when they put it in, but what they're going to work on this week is themselves to polish and also to rest guys. And they're going to work the young guys that maybe don't get as much time. Maybe they're on the scout team, so they're not running Arkansas stuff. And that's what they're going to do this week. And that's usually the way the open day works.
I was talking about routine earlier. You know, sports and particularly football so much about the rhythm of the routine. And you start messing with that, even though you think you're doing right by getting more time, more reps. Messing with that routine, it's a delicate thing.
Yeah, and they've got things that they want to work on. And they're going to work on their coverage skills. I mean, they're going to do those kind of things, you know, that to try to maybe they get, you know, McAdoo or Mbake. Maybe they get those guys ready a little more. You know, they've been doing it on the fly. But yeah, and you know they're gonna get guys in the weight room, and that's the routine that doesn't change. But yeah, you're right, Tommy. You know, you don't want to you put in the game plan this week and it gets stale. You know, you want that same focus, the Monday practice. Now, they may work on some things that they know they're going to use against Auburn, but they're going to work on their offense, and they're going to have the young guys that are on the scout team do Arkansas stuff and get coached a little bit. And I think that fires up everybody.
Well, and to get ready for a game, you got to have a level of physicality. And this is not a week for Arkansas to have a Monday and Tuesday that are physical following 7 games, being at BYU. I mean, you got to have a break from physicality, so you got to break your routine anyway. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like Utah. I mean, you need to go to Utah and get away from Ty. You needed a break from Ty. I mean, and that's why you went more than anything, right?
Yeah, am I that easy of a scout? You were looking at the film and breaking me down, and all of my tendencies.
He telegraphed.
No, I've been there. I've been there.
I didn't even. My eyes never left my primary wide receiver. I never looked at the guy wide open in the flat. Clay had me all figured out.
He gets.
I only have 30 minutes a week, and that's enough with Ty.
He gets some reprieve next week.
35 today, by the way, Clay. Could you?
I think it'll cost extra. He'll get some more reprieve next week. Going to Auburn. I'm excited about this Auburn trip. Clay, Coach I think Tom asked him about, he hadn't beaten Auburn yet, and they've only gotten 2 tries, but everyone knows what happened 2 years ago. He hadn't beat these SOBs since 2012 on the road in Jordan-Hare Stadium. It's just a tough place to win. How much do you think that plays into this game this next week?
Well, I think the opponent, who's actually on the field, is more important than the venue. And Auburn's had good players, and that's why it's been tough. And it won't be as tough this time. They're not as good in the lines. And that's where Auburn was really, I can remember writing this over and over. The guys that they had at defensive tackle, and, they'd have all seniors in the offensive line. Those are the guys that make your team good. And that's the SEC. And I don't see that. People are running. I watched almost all the Penn State game, and they just lined up and mashed on them. And that's happened in some other games where they've had trouble stopping a good running game. And Arkansas's got that. But, yeah, now, if you want to see the game, don't go there, in 2 weeks. You will not be able to see the game from the press box. I don't know. Have you been there lately?
No, you've told me about it. Tom and others have.
They have their press boxes now like a double-wide trailer perched on the southwest corner of the upper deck. I mean, you can't see.
We call that a deer blind in Arkansas.
It's not any better than that. I mean, there's some deer blinds in Arkansas that are better than that press box.
They box moved, stand here.
And then Alabama did the same thing, except they made theirs. In other words, they gave the big boosters the old press boxes at both schools. I've asked Hunter Yurchek a couple of times, when are you going to do that? Well, we don't have plans to do that. So you're not saying never. Yeah. He said, we have no plans to do that.
Yeah, they're reviewing the architect's drawings as we speak.
Yeah, but those seats are worth $3 or $4 million.
Well, they can't move it. Your last name's on the press box, Clay. You own that press box.
They can move that too.
They can change the last name to another press box. I mean, that's what they did at Alabama. They still got all the same pictures and all that kind of stuff. What do you call it, down history memory lane? But the Alabama press box is actually pretty good, other than you're looking into the sun for a 2:30 game. For a night game, it doesn't matter, and for a morning game, it doesn't matter because the sun would be behind you. But they do play a lot of 2:30 games at Bryant-Denny. Yeah. That's just their normal starting time because they're so good. All their games, they play anybody, it's worth a 2:30, start. But it's the press box at Auburn. It is a bad deal. They know it, and they almost apologize when you go in there. Mm-hmm. I guess it was 3 years ago, the first time or maybe 5 years ago that I went in there. I didn't realize they had moved it, and nobody stopped me. I had my pass. I went up the same elevator and went into the same old press box, and I saw what they did, and I was like, uh-oh, I'm in the wrong place. I don't know where the right press box is, but this isn't it anymore, because there was a buffet that was about 50 yards long.
Oh, should have helped yourself. So, Let's talk about the things that will matter next weekend more than the press box, and that will be who you get back in the secondary. And, both Johnsons, Jaden and Kari and Slusher are the three that everyone's asked about. I thought it was interesting that the conversation came up about Catalan as well and maybe getting back for the last two games. In your estimate, Clay, what's the right move for Jalen Catalan, considering he's redshirt junior, could come back another year? I'm not sure about maybe getting a hardship year. I'm not sure how all of that would work at this point, but what's the best play for Jalen Catalan right now?
Well, you can look at it both ways. And you can look at, he hasn't proven that he can stay on the field for a year and he needs to increase his value. And then the other side is to look at, his body only has so many plays left in it. So would you go on and try your hand at an NFL training camp? Because you are a risky project. There's not any doubt about that. And there's not any draft value in him right now, I don't think. I think he'd be a free agent or, really late. Somebody may take a chance because he is really talented. But guys, when I've been around him, he's just not very big. And it just seems like his body doesn't hold up. And I wanted to think that it was going to be different this year, but it wasn't. I mean, I didn't even see the contact. I didn't see anything. It just, something tore.
Man.
And it's, he's had an ACL, he's had shoulders, he's had, hand injuries. It's not just one thing. He reminds me of a guy that I thought was as talented an athlete that ever came through Fayetteville, a tight end named Jay Strain. And Jay tore up both knees, both shoulders. I mean, he just, and I guess the same thing Kobe Burnham was like that, wasn't he, Tommy? And I think he's a top-end referee now doing football games.
Absolutely, yeah.
He couldn't stay. I mean, his body it didn't work. And both of those guys had great size. They weren't little people. But that's the way it happens sometimes.
He's still a large man. Still to this day, he's tall. Everybody looks up to Colby still to this.
Hey, he was as good a high school player as I can ever remember.
Him and Mitch Smothers played together. And I remember having a game where Brandon Allen was on one side.
One was at Springdale and one was at Fayetteville.
And you had the two linemen from Harbor, Smothers and I'm thinking of Bray Cook. Then you had Colby Burnham. I'm getting my guys mixed up. I'm thinking about a game where Brandon and them, Colby came a little bit later than that, but there was no question, and Colby's the same way, no question who the SEC prospect out here was on the line when you just physically looked and gave him the eye test. No question about that. He had Cook and Smothers, and Cook's now the head coach at P. Ridge. So
B.A. didn't throw an interception his senior year, regular season. I don't know. I don't think he threw one in postseason. They didn't win a state championship, but he did not throw a single interception. He had 36 touchdowns and
epic. If you ever get a chance to talk to Brandon, ask him about the finish to the Harbor Fayetteville game that year. They had 2 kickoff returns and 3 long plays in the last 2 minutes. It was an epic finish.
It was a game that nobody was going to lose. There was no loser. People just took turns winning it.
I don't even remember who won the game.
I just remember the
finish.
2 best high school games I've ever seen were Austin Allen throwing a throwback pass to beat Bentonville, who hadn't lost in a year and a half under Coach Lunny Sr. The other game was when Tyler went down to Pulaski Academy, Tyler Wilson, and they beat PA in overtime or 2 overtimes. They stopped them on a 2-point conversion. 2 best high school games I've ever seen. And though both teams were, I say both, all 4 of those teams were littered with college prospects.
Yeah.
To me, the epic high school game was, and I can't tell you the year, but it was Mustane's senior year, and it was Little Rock Central beat them in kind of a return matchup, and I think they knocked Mustane out in the second quarter, early in the second quarter, and it was just an incredible game. Central got way ahead, and then Springdale kind of rallied with their backup quarterback. That game was, there was so much build up to it, and it lived up to. Well, I mean, if you're from Springdale, you probably didn't like it, but I'm a Little Rock Central guy.
There was another epic one between Gus's team at Shiloh versus Junction City.
Oh, yeah.
Way back in the day that I think it ended up 64-63. It was a basketball score that was a playoff shootout, no doubt.
It was like the Brigham Young Arkansas game. If you punted, you lost.
Yeah. That pretty much sums it up right there.
Brigham Young punted twice. Arkansas punted once. Well, that's the difference in the game.
They lost.
And Arkansas still got it at the 1 yard line.
The turnovers were part of it too. But you had to score every time.
I don't know who leads the league, who leads the nation. Arkansas surely leads the league, may lead the country, Clay, in getting the ball at their own one. I don't know who's had the ball more at the one than Arkansas, but it's been 3 or 4 times at least this year.
Yeah, that's been an interesting aspect about the. I really enjoyed watching that game. I sit in my easy chair, my feet were up, and I'm not kidding about the best seat in the house is watching it on a big screen in your living room. Everybody talks about you can go to Auburn and have a great time. You're going to work your tail off to get down there, and I'm going to be sitting in my recliner and have anything I want from the refrigerator. But I understand why people don't go to games now. This fall has been a revelation to me.
I've been a trendsetter for a while on that. I got my patio set up with 2 TVs, and I've been to more games this year than I've been in probably the last 3 combined. And I feel like I'm missing because I didn't get to see the Alabama-Tennessee game like I wanted to. I just feel like I missed the rest of the college football day by being at a game.
Well, go ahead, Clay.
I was going to say the one thing that I have missed is just seeing the guys. Everybody talks about in football, what do you miss? It's the locker room, it's the guys. Well, the press box is the guys, and you know that, Tommy and Ty. Getting to see everybody and just kind of reuniting, and you work against people. In other words, you compete against them, but you really don't. You just do your thing. And getting to see everybody, whether it be Scotty and Matt, the guys that I worked with, or Dudley, all those, I kind of just figure out, okay, which end is Ty sitting on, and then I go around the other end to get to my seat.
I've seen you moving the name cards around up there.
Arkansas media is a lot more cordial than other competing entities outside the state, and we have that luxury. There's really only a couple riffs here and there. Even the guys that compete are nice. But I will say that. So you guys have y'all seen the movie with Morgan Freeman, Jack Nicholson, and is it The Bucket List?
Yes.
I don't want to be 67 years old still trying to check off SEC venues I haven't been to. I'm 27, taking advantage of it now. A drive here and there, a late night here and there.
Do it
it's not
while
going to affect me.
Do it while Uncle Tommy's footing the bill.
Football is back, and BetOnline remains your #1 source for all your football betting needs this season. You'll find the latest odds, matchup info, player news, and game trends. And as your continued source for all sports wagering info, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, live scores, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports and events like MLB, MMA, tennis, boxing, and even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 100% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. Bet Online, where the game starts.